Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about probably one of the most important things you need to master as a videographer, and that's exposure and the 3 settings that affect it. It doesn't matter whether you have a Sony camera, Canon camera, Panasonic Red or an iPhone, because what we're going over today with exposure is one of the foundations of videography. So, what is exposure? Exposure is simply how much light hits your camera's sensor. Too much light and your image is overexposed, washed out with no detail in the bright areas. Too little and it's underexposed, dark with details lost in the shadows. Get it right and you've got a balanced image with detail in both your highlights and your shadows. Now, your job as a videographer is to control how much light reaches that sensor, and you do that with 3 settings working together. These 3 settings are aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Together they're called the exposure triangle, and you'll typically find the value numbers of these 3 settings at the bottom of your camera screen. And each one doesn't just affect brightness, it also changes the look of your footage. So once you understand what each one does, you're not only just exposing your shot correctly, but you're actually making creative choices. So let's break down each one. First one is shutter speed. Your shutter speed controls how fast your shutter opens and closes inside your camera. Nowadays, this can still be a mechanical shutter or an electronic rolling shutter like you'll find in iPhones. Here's what that shutter looks like at 1 full second compared to 1/100th of a second. As you can see, a fast shutter speed lets in light for a very short time, making the image darker. A slow shutter speed lets in light longer, making the image brighter. However, shutter speed does not only affect exposure, it also affects motion blur. Letting a small amount of light in with a fast shutter speed gives you that freeze motion, which gives you that sharp, crisp footage of anything moving quickly. And letting in more light with a slower shutter speed increases that motion blur. So take a look at these 4 clips, all taken with different shutter speed settings. See how different my hand movement looks? And if we take a look at an individual frame from these, you will see that the higher the shutter speed, the crisper the image. So the higher the shutter speed, the less motion blur you're going to get. Now, people can get confused between shutter speed and frame rate. So to put it quickly, if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, your camera is taking 24 individual still images per second, combined to create motion picture. And each of those individual images has their own shutter speed. So in this example, when we are shooting at 25 frames per second with a 1/50th shutter speed, each of those images will have the motion blur associated with that 1/50th shutter speed. Now, I've done a video breaking down frame rates in much more detail, so if you want to check that out, it'll be up here somewhere. Now, the human eye actually sees motion blur in real life, so try waving your hand in front of your face and you'll see it. Now, to replicate that with our camera, we have to follow a rule, and it's called the 180-degree shutter rule. The 180-degree shutter rule is to set your shutter speed at double your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 25 frames per second, you want to set your shutter speed at 1/50th. And if you're shooting 30 frames per second, aim for 1/60th. Shooting at 60 frames per second, aim for 1/120. And this will give you motion blur that looks natural to the human eye. Next up is aperture. Aperture is the opening inside your lens that controls how much light passes through to the sensor. It's measured in f-stops. A lower f-stop number means a wider opening, which lets in more light, and a higher f-stop number means a narrower opening, letting in less light. Similar to the iris in our eye, getting bigger and smaller depending on the light. But aperture does more than control brightness. It also controls the depth of field, or what we sometimes call a range of focus. A wide aperture like a 1.8, yes, lets in a lot of light, but it also creates a shallow depth of field. And that's where your subject is sharp in focus, but the foreground and background are blurred out. Whereas a narrow aperture like a f11 gives you a deeper depth of field, where much more of the scene, the foreground, the background all stays in focus. So what aperture should you shoot at? Well, it really depends on what you're shooting. I like to keep it on the lower side, around 2.8, when I'm shooting shots of a person or detail shots that I want the viewer to be focused on. So with that low aperture, it will blur out the background and help the viewer stay focused on the specific subject in that shot. Now, let's say if you're filming a travel video and you have your subject in a big, beautiful landscape that you want to capture, and keep everything in focus, then you'd go for a much higher aperture, you know, something between 8 to 22. So your shot has a much greater range of focus, keeping your subject and the backdrop or whatever is in the background in focus. So as you're setting up for your shot, just ask yourself, what do I want the viewer to be focusing on in this shot? Now, what do you do when there's too much light? You're following the 180-degree rule with your shutter speed, and you want a nice low aperture because you want that shallow depth of field. Well, that's where ND filter comes in. An ND filter, or a neutral density filter, is like sunglasses for your lens. It reduces the amount of light entering without changing the color of your image. That lets you keep the aperture and shutter speed you want for the look you're going for, while not overexposing your image. This one I'm using right here is just a K&F concept variable ND filter. It's great just because you can actually adjust how much light you want just with this slider here. I'll leave a link in the description below in case you're looking to pick one up yourself. But what if the opposite's true? You have your shutter speed and your aperture setting set, but you're shooting in a low light situation and there's just not enough light for your shot. Well, that's where the last setting of the triangle comes in, and that is ISO. Now, unlike aperture and shutter speed, ISO doesn't actually alter the amount of light hitting the sensor. It's the sensor's sensitivity to that light. Think of it like a volume control for light. Now, there's a catch when adjusting your ISO. We mentioned that your shutter speed setting affects your motion blur, and the aperture setting affects your depth of field. Well, the ISO setting affects the quality of image. When you raise your ISO, your image gets brighter, but you also start introducing noise, that grainy, speckly texture, especially noticeable in your shadows. For example, here is a shot at 200 ISO compared to 1200 ISO. You see this stuff here? Yeah, that's noise. Now, the better your camera sensitivity is, the higher you can raise your ISO without introducing too much noise. So when you can, you want to be keeping your ISO as low as possible to get a clean image. Now, it's worth noting that every camera has what's called a native ISO. That's the setting at which that sensor produces the cleanest possible image with the most dynamic range. That's your starting range, your home base setting, and you'll want to know what it is for your specific camera. I know for this camera, it's 640. So just make sure you know what your camera's native ISO setting is. A trick I like to do is to have my ISO set at my camera's native ISO, and then just with my variable ND filter, I can adjust how much light's coming in and out to the sensor with this, instead of adjusting that ISO setting. So I'm always shooting at my camera's native ISO for the cleanest image. There you have it. That's the exposure triangle and how aperture, shutter speed, and ISO all work together to determine the exposure of your image. That's it for this video, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.